Aloha. It is the first day of the new Gregorian calendar year, Saturday, the 1st of January. Welcome to it. The sun is in Capricorn, the moon is in Sagittarius, Mercury is in Capricorn, the last degree of it, so it's about to enter Aquarius. Venus is retrograde in Capricorn, Mars is in Sagittarius, Jupiter has recently entered Pisces at 0 degrees. Saturn is in Aquarius, Uranus is retrograde in Taurus, Neptune's in Pisces, Pluto's in Capricorn, and the North Node is in Gemini. So let's go ahead and pull some cards. I'm kind of experimenting. I had been doing this style before, but then my YouTube stopped working. So I'm kind of making a video, and then I'm going to upload it to a bunch of places and see how that works. And if it does work, cool. If it doesn't work, I'll just keep doing it live on Facebook, though I don't see that as particularly the best method possible for me to use, though I've used it, to the fullest limits possibly. So for this new 2022, we got the Two of Pentacles, Capricorn Sun, Mercury, Venus in retrograde, and Pluto in Capricorn, very Earth energy. So if you're a Virgo, I should start over. If you're a Taurus, or you're a Virgo, or you're a Capricorn, you're naturally the Earth signifier, which is Pentacle. And twos are about balancing and kind of the beginning of a journey. Let's go ahead and get into it with this. All right, so the Two of Pentacles, striking a balance, reinventing yourself to suit your desires, riding the wave of challenge in your life. The Two of Pentacles, I perfect the art of balancing responsibilities. Seems very appropriate to where I am personally. I don't know about y'all. I'm just realizing the lighting is insane here. All right. At the core of the Starman Tarot, and David DeAngelis has been on the Team Rabbit Hole podcast a few times. So that's this deck, the Starman Tarot deck. At the core of the Starman Tarot, there sits the deck's trickster, nature, who plays with the traditional programming of the tarot, turning things on their heads. In this vein, I often fashion the earth out of the sky and the sky out of the earth, and enjoy pushing the boundaries with how the characters are visualized and the environments in which they find themselves. Traditionally, the character in the Two of Pentacles is depicting juggling two gold pentacles bound by a ribbon cord, which forms a lemon skate, the infinity symbol. The character is placed firmly on smooth, solid ground, while two sailing ships are wildly tossed around on a volatile sea. This forms the story of his solidity as the chaotic and shifting world transpires in the background, very Uranus in Taurus. The world is being changed radically right now. Cryptocurrencies, political alignments, even just how we order our days. However, I wanted to catch my character in a time slice as he surfed the sky on an infinity board. He is solid and sure in his own capabilities, particularly the foundational skill of balance. Even the volcanic eruption behind him is unable to shake his confidence. He is earthed, yet not as much as we might expect. He is intrinsically motivated, has immense body awareness, and has married his internal energy work with physical movement, like Tai Chi or skateboarding and surfing, like physical action of mysticism. He has learned how to align his body, center his awareness, allowing him to respond rapidly to any change in his environment. He is a master of his art, and he knows how to adapt to whatever comes his way, recognizing that in a state of flow he is not moving, rather he is being moved. His adornments are in balance. Everything is playing out perfectly for him. He rides upon infinity, the symbol of things constantly in perfect repetition, representing the harmony of reinvesting your material gains into your gifts and passions, investing your past experiences to ensure your continued wisdom and growth as a human being. The cycle is never ending. Everything in the universe is reinvested. Beneath the appearance of chaos sits perfect harmony and balance. At the root of your own life sits the same harmony, everything recycled and renewed in each moment. When faced with change, the turbulent events that present themselves at times in your life, you can ride them by maintaining practices. And this is exactly where I'm at personally. Interests in relationships which nourish and support your core strengths and priorities. In the moment, you can center yourself with the power of the breath. Respond rather than react, allowing your natural state of balance and composure to be restored. Riding the waves of life, you learn to let go of the drama and return to equilibrium, gliding steadily on. So, first card of the year, not too shabby, and it's a 2 nonetheless with all these 2 resonations. Two of Pentacles, striking a balance, reinventing yourself to suit your desires, riding the wave of challenge in your life. And I think that should be denoted, underlined. Challenges occur. Even the most Zen sage and the most woke person has challenges. Entropy exists. So we need to ride that wave well. Even if volcanoes are blowing up, even if, you're like making a transition between planes of experience, you're going to have to be responsible for how you maintain yourself and how you keep your equilibrium in body. Breathing, eating well, getting a decent kind of physical kind of participation with reality, whether it's martial art or exercise or anything like that, a sport, that's going to help you clarify your mind more. I was just listening to Christopher Techie. He's been on the podcast, and he wants to come on again. He's a good astrologer. He was like the mentor of David Palmer, the Leo King, and Mike, the Peace Dealer, who've both been on the podcast a few times. And he's saying that 20 minutes of exercise gets your brain reset. So it's like, how do you find balance in a changing world that's full of dynamics and chaos and confusion? You find your center and you ground it through breath. The clarifier we're getting is the 10 of air. Interesting artwork here. So let's go ahead and see what that has to tell us. 10 of air. I thought air was last, but no, here it is. 10 of air is as follows. Very My Pretty Pony colors here going on. 10 of air. Keywords: individuation, self-actualization, liberation, altered perceptions, new paradigms, great mystery, paradox, and potential. Key phrases: it's a time of independence. Saying goodbye to the public persona, no longer bound by other people's opinions. Walk your own path. Humans are paradoxical by nature, North Node in Gemini. It just is what it is. See and know your potential. The self is whole. Time to grow up and leave home. Very Capricornic. It's time to get your work in and make your way in the world. The process of individuation leads to becoming oneself, to stepping away from external forces that we believe define us, to becoming an independent being who recognizes and embraces their own uniqueness and individuality. So in spite of circumstances, in spite of culture, in spite of volcanoes blowing up, you are ultimately the surfer of your reality, and you need to take that responsibility seriously. And have fun, North Node in Gemini. It's a paradox. It is about removing the mask we present to the public so that we are liked and respected and accepted. The face we wear, so we fit in and belong. No longer are our public face and private life very different. We present our face to the world, and if it is not liked, then so be it. This is very kind of Saturn and Aquarius. It's like, I'm going to do things my way. If it makes us a black sheep in a flock of white sheep, then so be it. We would rather be honest and accepted by the few than to be what family or society expects of us. Very Age of Aquarius. Individuation is being who we are meant to be, as opposed to being the person society tells us we should be. It is breaking free from caring about what people think of us because we love who we are and not what we do with our life. We are free, liberated, because we are not bound by others' opinions of us or our actions, the constraints of society, or the impediments of our past. It is integrating conscious and unconscious, both. It's this balancing the wave. You have two aspects. You have unconscious and conscious parts to your physical being. So it's about balancing that. Soul and shadow. This is very North Node of Gemini. Soul and shadow, the kind of masculine and feminine, the yin and yang. Creating a whole where the self resides at the center, right? So he's sitting here surfing at the center, holding, balanced on the biggest wave, as Pink Floyd would say in Dark Side of the Moon, holding what? The polarities. No longer does duality separate and divide. All is in harmony and working in unison. You are you, whole, complete, and ever-evolving, and that evolution is not a linear process. So sometimes it's 10 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes it's 10 steps back, 1 step forward. 1 step forward. It is a circumambulatory process of viewing the self and seeing it from multiple perspectives and accepting and integrating all of the facets and aspects into the whole. No aspect is ugly or beautiful. None are good or bad. None better or worse. Each has its place and purpose as a part of the beautiful whole. It's like the zodiac. Scorpios aren't bad and Gemini is good, or vice versa. It's like every part has its natural honoring of an archetype and an algorithm of frequency and energy. To individuate is to understand paradox, North Node of Gemini, and accept that you are one. Like, these are bigger truths. The moon and the last degrees of Sagittarius. Accept that you are one, whole. You are human. To be a whole and complete human is to be paradoxical. To individuate is to see and know your potential and to step forward into the unknown and meet it. You are willing to step away from all that you were so that you may become all that you choose to be. In this process, your perception is altered forever. You are forever transformed. No more are you willing to embrace old paradigms that limit and restrict, that espouse a belief that says you should or cannot do this. You move forward into the great mystery with confidence, knowing, very Jupiter and Pisces right now, great mystery, with confidence, knowing that even when life offers conflict and chaos, which it will, we remain, and when tongue twister, when we remain at the center, we have peace. When the 10 of air appears in your reading, it represents a time in our life after we have chosen to step free of the mask and we're only one face in private and public. No longer do we hide our thoughts, beliefs, or feelings in order to be accepted, liked, or respected. We have turned our back on expectations, on conventions, on mediocrity. For North Node in Gemini, right? It's like, take off your masks and play around with ideas, not South Node in Sagittarius, where it's like, this is how it's always been, and this is what we should do, and oh my gosh. It's not quite like that anymore. So things that are normal are no longer normal, and we need to embrace and accept who we are and stand tall and proud. It is time to separate yourself from the herd and to walk your own path. Step through the doorway and begin a life where a new paradigm replaces the old, and you are free to be the best that you can be, instead of this is what society tells you that you must be, right? So we're riding the wave of change. We have to do it in a balanced way, in a way that's honoring our bodies and our personal space, our personal metabolisms of reality, our personal perspectives, knowing that we are ultimately the ones who are going to walk through the door. Just like in the Matrix movies, it's like Morpheus is like, I could show you the door, know thyself, right? The one eye at the top of the door, know thyself. He could show you the door, but only Neo can choose to walk through it. And that's a choice that, if we do it in a balanced way, won't even be that difficult, though challenges do exist. Let's go ahead and get a Galactic Heritage card. Hopefully you all are doing well, wherever you're watching from. I was actually supposed to be en route. I live in the highlands of Colorado, where it's snowing and blizzarding and stuff. I was supposed to be flying from here to visit my Nana in Fairhope, Alabama, but between the fires in Boulder and the snowstorms and winds, I've postponed my trip. So hopefully you all are doing well. Embracing family, 80. And in a sense, when we kind of stop making, when we kind of do our own thing and stop jumping through the hoops of others and projecting our hoops onto others, that's when we really embrace the whole, right? Like, each of us are kind of a node in the tapestry, but when we take the tapestry in as a whole, it's a very different experience. So number 80, Zeta Reticuli, embracing family, present timeline. When we live in fear, we live in isolation. We often withdraw from those we love in order to protect ourselves. The Zetas did this as they passed through their species crisis, but now that crisis has been averted. They are reaching out to their family, genetic and spiritual, who helped them in their darkest hour. It's time for you to do the same. Even if life is still difficult, open yourself to receive the support and love from your family, whether it's genetic or spiritual. Do not be afraid to show your true self to them, right? That's what this has been saying with the 10 of air. Be your true self. No and ifs or buts. And when you do that in a very balanced, confident way, in a healthy way, you're going to be embraced for who you are. Do not be afraid to show your true self to them, and know that they will love and support you unconditionally. And that's the conditions we create in our own minds. That's the shadow of North Node in Gemini, where it's like, we come up with all these categories, like, oh, are they a skater? I only talk to skaters. They're a cheerleader. I won't talk to them. I mean, this is very high school terms, but it's like, oh, they're Slytherin. I'm Ravenclaw. I won't talk to them. It's like, you're in Hogwarts. So be yourself. And know that you're a part of an integral whole. This card refers to an era in Zeta history when their species crisis had passed and they had to rebuild from the foundation upward. In their darkest time, they vowed never to feel emotions, thinking that emotion was the cause of their problems. This caused them tremendous isolation, a feeling of being cut off from the universe and from each other. One of the gifts humans have given to the Zetas, or the Greys, through their contacts with each other, is teaching them about the human family and what it means. If you pulled this card, it could have several meanings depending on the surrounding cards and your life circumstances. Perhaps you are coming out of a time of isolation now because you did not want to burden your loved ones with your pain or suffering, and you were wishing to reconnect with family once again. Or perhaps you are still in isolation. If that is the case, this card is telling you to open your heart once again and reach out to your human family of all types, as well as your universal one. It is safe. You can do it. If you have a particularly strong connection to the Zetas, this card may also be referring to a lifetime you have lived during that Zeta time, and it's being the Zetas are contacting you now who are from that era. Open yourself and reconnect with whatever aspect of family is appropriate now. Let their love heal the scars of the past and pave the way to the future, right? When we come into a balanced place in ourselves and know our role, like the Rock says, know your damn role. And it's not a should, you should do this. It's just like, be true to yourself in a balanced way. And we're authentically ourselves, walking through that door to be our full actual selves in all the beauty and horror that might mean. That's when we really step into the unity of all things. Let's go ahead and get an Animal Oracle card. I haven't done it like this in so long that I'm like, I hope my storage is good. Like, I hope this actually records the video. I usually just go live because whatever. Beaver, work. Capricorn, you guys. The sun is in Capricorn, so is Mercury for the last minutes. Venus and Pluto, Venus in retrograde in Capricorn. It's time to do work. I mean, that's what this year, it's going to be hard work, but it's a good balancing time. That's what this year is going to show us, I think. But, in a sense, like, it's time to take responsibility and be yourself. Ultimately, that way you can be in the family properly. The family, you're already in the family, but are you, it's just like Judas didn't, he served his role or whatever, but it's like he could have been more integrated in the family if he had not been so torn internally with his own trip. Anyway, doing the work is what we're being called to do. The beaver, and there's beavers that had lived on this lake, but they were, I hope, nicely removed by the homeowners association here. I didn't mind them, but they didn't want their trees being gnawed to death or whatever. So work, beaver. To love your work is a gift, right? That balancing work and play, Two of Pentacles. Find a balance, Two of Pentacles, between work and rest. It is worth aligning your work with your purpose if you can. So, like, what are you good at? This is why, hit me up for a reading. If you want, I can help you with this. But know thyself, and when you know what your skills are and your passions and your dreams, how does that fit into the world around you? And how can those two kind of come together where your skills are being met with reciprocity economically or even just energetically? It doesn't have to be about money. I appreciate giving these readings because it's helpful for me and it orients me, but then I know it's helping others too. Being positively mindful can engage in engaged work, no matter what it might be, is healthy, right? It's just like that Disney, or I don't think it's Disney, but the claymation winter thing about St. Nicholas and Santa Claus or whatever. It's like, just put one foot in front of the other. You got to work. You got to walk this life. You can't just sit there and be like, well, it's happening to me. It's happening through you. Someone may be attempting to micromanage you at your job, and this is not an optimum way to work. Perhaps it is time to be your own boss. Herd. Mythos. The Ojibwe First Nations people tell a story of the beaver. Beaver was speaking with other animals and was telling them how happy he was about his tail. Very North Node and Gemini, very social. Look, bird, how fluffy my tail is. It's so fluffy. Is it not? Asked the beaver. The bird looked at the beaver's very fluffy tail and said, sure, it's very nice, but seemed dismissive to the beaver. Venus, retrograde Capricorn. It's like, sure. The beaver then went to a muskrat. Do you like my tail, muskrat? Is it not beautiful and thick with fur? The muskrat said, yes, but is it a strong tail? And once again, Capricorn, is it functionally helpful in the world? Two of Pentacles. Yes, but is it a strong tail? The beaver was puzzled. I asked you if you thought my tail was beautiful, not strong. The muskrat just shook his head and walked away saying, who cares if your tail is beautiful or not? The beaver was upset with the animals he had spoken to and went back to cutting trees for his dam. As he was thinking about how rude the other animals had been to him, he misplaced a cut, and this gives a good example when you're just sitting there ruminating, kind of being like, fuck the world, they're so mean to me. It's like, it's a bad distraction. So he got distracted with his basically anger and mistrust of others, and he misplaced a cut, and the tree fell on his tail. The beaver wiggled his tail out from under the tree and saw that the weight of the tree had flattened it and removed the fur. It was black and leathery now. Venus and Capricorn retrograde. It's like, it wasn't so beautiful. And he's dealing with like real issues and not just like superfluous kind of like glamorous issues. The beaver sat on the sandy shore and cried heartily. He cried so loudly that the creator himself came to comfort him. Sagittarius moon, last degrees. Like, spirit will comfort you emotionally. The beaver said to the creator, oh, creator, look at what happened to my tail. It is flat and ugly now. And the creator said, no, it's not ugly. And now it's more useful. Very Capricornic, right? Now you will be able to swim so much more strongly. And the beaver considered this and realized that it was true, but thought his friends would not care for him anymore. The critter smiled and said, no, beaver, your tail is not why your friends love you. They love you for your hard work and industry and for your kindness and goodness. Your tail has nothing to do with it. And with that, the beaver was satisfied. Beavers feature in many mythos of the First Nations in the Americas and Canada, the Inuit and the Norse. But it's funny because basically this beaver's like, I want to be myself and I've got to do my thing and I hope the others embrace me. And the creator's like, they will embrace you, not just because of your aesthetic looks. Venus in retrograde Capricorn. It's about what you're actually producing in the world. Two of Pentacles. Animal. The beaver is an incredibly transformational force upon landscapes. They can divert rivers and waterways and construct dams that create flooded areas, pools, and ponds that enable fish to breed and certain plants to flourish. Besides humans, they are most probably the most... God, this is wordy. They are most probably the most powerful architects of landscape on Earth. To do all this changing of landscape, beavers need to be industrious and work hard. Capricorn, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Pluto. They seem always to be active and busy, literally cutting down trees with their powerfully sharp front teeth, which continually grow, and using their hands to move heavy objects and shape the mud. So they're engineering things creatively, Saturn and Aquarius. They do this to dam areas so they can build their lodges, working through the night and day. The interior of the lodge does not freeze in hard in winter because of the nature of their construction, with air pockets above the pile of branches and sticks that act as an insulating effect. Beavers share their lodges as monogamous pairs with their kits. They are territorial and will defend their territories. They are strongly built and weigh an average of 25 kilograms, and are the second largest rodent on Earth after the capybara. Their tails in particular are a great asset, the rounded flat shape being able to propel them very quickly in water, but also giving them good balance on land. Beavers are very agile underwater and are able to stay underwater for up to 15 minutes if threatened, although they usually spend only a few minutes at a time as there's always work to do. The magic. When you find it hard to motivate yourself, or when things are not working out the way your career or work situation you thought it should be going, Beaver energy can help. When you need help finishing physical projects or attracting good craftspeople, call upon Beaver magic to assist. Right? So symbology is like a lodge, like a wooden lodge, paddle-like tail, beaver teeth. Those are the symbols, archetypal symbols kind of this animal. Status of least concern, there's a shit ton of them, even though they were being removed from my area kind of aggressively. There are a lot in Colorado. So it's time to work. It's time to do a balanced, good work, and to be yourself, and to know all your shadows, and be like, I'm perfect even with these scruples and issues. You're loved independently of what you do. Just like the beaver, it doesn't matter, what he looks like. They loved him for who he was, his work ethic, and, the things that defined him archetypally. So I think we're being called to step into a powerful level of work in the world. This is not about sitting in a cave and humming all the Zen mantras, though that is a level of work. It's time to build the communities. It's time to harvest the food. It's time to change the world in a way that you find preferential. If you want to sit in a metaverse and collect Bitcoin all day, then do it. That's the work you're here to do. If you want to live in a community and grow food and stuff and there's all sorts of spectrums. I'm using extreme examples here, but if you want to be kind of like an avatar hippie, the movie Avatar hippie, drinking ayahuasca and growing things, do it. And there's all sorts of combinations therein. But you need to be true to yourself, and knowing that when you're not judging yourself, when you're not doing, I should do this, I should do that, when you're like, I'm just being myself and I'm walking forward that way in a balanced way, Two of Pentacles, you're embraced. You're always loved, but then you'll feel authentically accepted for who you are, as opposed to performing for others' approval, which can be very draining. So Titian is the artist we're getting. I love art cards. I'm an art history dropout, so that's part of the reason I love these cards, but also get cultured a little here, and this always adds a little more dynamos to the reading, in my opinion, a little more color even. The exact birth date of Tiziano Vasilio, aka Titian, is unknown, but historians agree that he was a classical Scorpio. Cosmopolitan and passionate, this Venetian, as in he's from Venice, went 16th century viral with an international career, very Capricorn, right? He showed the world what he was capable of. Characterized by expressive form, scale, and color, as well as tasteful sexiness, his paintings drove demand in the Vatican and the great courts of Europe, where Titian painted large, flattering portraits of VIPs. Well into his senior years, Titian continued experimenting, particularly with his mythological paintings, which he compared to poetry. He remained competitive in style and production until he went from viral to bacterial, dying of plague complications. So you think these days are hard? There was bubonic plague. Who knows all the origins of these things? But he died actually from a pandemic, basically. Titian, it says, your personality can be as colorful as your canvas. And I think as long as you're coming at it with material in a balanced way, I have a paintbrush, I have paint, here's the canvas, now what's possible. You could do Jackson Pollock splatter painting, you could do hyper realistic, beautiful art like that, like Titian or MC Escher, but you need to be using the tools at hand and then being authentic with those tools. And when you do that, people celebrate you. Right? And you're accepted for who you are. But that doesn't mean you have to do the work. It's not just going to come to you. In a sense, grace is continuous and always happening. So amen. Praise God for that. Like, we don't have to, in a sense, do anything. But at the same time, we've asked to be participatory in reality. And that means sometimes putting in the effort, hopefully in a balanced way. So Titian is saying your personality can be as colorful as your canvas. You don't have to look at your work as, you can bring your personality to anything you do. And what you do shapes your personality. Right? So just because you're, in the mines, whistle while you work, as the seven dwarves would do, which apparently are this, I've heard, seven's a kind of a sacred, number, 7 chakras, 7 musical notes, 7 planets. but they're the 7 stages of cocaine addiction, I've heard. So interesting little tidbit there. And I don't do GAC. I highly suggest no one do that. I'm very up and naturally, so uppers are not really for me. What we've got is this stone, or the mineral, or however you want to look at this. You can quantumly entangle with this. You don't have to own it, but you can kind of look at the world around you, the physical world, 2 of Pentacles, and try to find your balance in nature by being aware of these things even. Know thyself by knowing your environment, right? So epidote, E-P-I-D-O-T, epidote. What it is, epidote is a prismatic, earthy, green aluminum silicate mineral. It's the get what you give stone, very reciprocative 2 of Pentacles. Making good vibes even better, but be warned, if you bring epidote into your world, be ready to bring it. Very Sagittarius moon, Capricorn sun. It's like, don't just half-ass this. If you're set out on wallowing, like if you're just going to be miserable and stuff, keep epidote at a safe distance because it's only going to amplify what you already feel. Who needs it? Anyone putting in the work on their self. Can you make this shit up, y'all? The work on what? Their canvas and their personality. The work on their selfhood. The balancing the world. Being your full self. That's your responsibility as a being in consciousness. And others will appreciate that. Don't hide it under a bushel. You have magic and lessons and failures and successes that everybody can learn from and resonate with and experience, viscerally in that sense. Who needs it? Anyone putting in the work on their self, which is what we're being told to do right now, Capricorn season. Where to put it? Stashed away with your existential to-do list. When to use it? When you're looking to kick a bad habit, a bad friend, or a bad mood. When you want to cast the spotlight on your weaknesses so you can work on them, right? So knowing yourself more fully in order to balance these things. You have light and dark. They're both valid. You have a selfish murderer, and then you have this holy little guardian angel, and you have it all in you. We're animals and spiritual beings. It's crazy. So when you're looking to kick bad habits, do the work on yourself. This can help you upgrade your version of you. And that is what we're doing. He could have stayed there in this, like the zone with the thing down here on the plane. He's like, no, I'm going to upgrade my version of myself in a balanced way and rise to a new level with my magical surfboard or whatever. We're upgrading the version of who we are at the highest levels. And ask Spirit to help you guide through that. Holler for readings if you want advice. I can help. That's what I'm here for. We're all in this together, family. And ultimately, that is the work we're part of, to become. So know that, you don't, no matter what your situation is, in a sense, you're bringing yourself to it, and it can be balanced or not, and there's lessons there, or you can have a shitty job, but how are you coming to it, right? So your canvas, your personality can be as colorful as your canvas. Don't just let work make you feel like a dull boy and go apeshit like in The Shining. Like, make your work colorful and meaningful to you. So upgrade your version of you. And I know on the first day of a new year, everybody's making resolutions and saying, I'm ready to do the work. It's Capricorn season. I'm not guilty is a strong word, but it's like I'm also being affected by this. So I'm going to play a song, as is usually the thing I do on here. It's going to be a Bush song. Here, let me just switch this around. It's going to be a song by the band Bush, and I need to see it. So where are my glasses at? Over here. This came out when I was a kid, like 4th grade, 3rd grade. It's called Glycerin. And yeah, I don't know, it's just in my mind, so I decided to pull it up. Here we go. So oops, just making sure I'm not making too many microphone noises. Must be your skin, I'm sinking in. Must be for real, 'cause now I can feel. I didn't mind, it's not my kind. It's not my time to wonder why. Everything's gone white, everything's gray. Now you're here, now you're away. Don't want this, remember that. I'll never forget where you're at. Don't let the days go by. Glycerin, glycerin. I'm never alone, I'm alone all the time. Are you at one, or do you lie? We live on a wheel, where everyone steals. When we rise, it's like strawberry fields. Treated you bad, you bruised my face. Couldn't love you more, you've got a beautiful taste. Don't let the days go by. Could have been easier on you. I couldn't change though I wanted to. Should have been easier by 3. Our old friend Fear and you and me. Glycerine, glycerin. Don't let the days go by. Glycerin. Don't let the days go by. Oh, I don't know these chords. Glycerine, glycerine. Oh, glycerine, glycerine. Bad moon white again. Bad moon white again. As she falls around me. I needed you more, wanted us less. Could not kiss, just regress.